This is Last Blitzkrieg from MMP Games. It's part of the Battalion Combat series. This is the situation at the end of the second day. We'll just cover this going from the south of the front all the way up to the north. In the south, Germans are across River Sour in force, but they're not really moving much further than this position now. The decision is to use this River Sour as an actual defence line to form the southern flank of the invasion. Now, the Americans doing a similar sort of thing. You've got a powerful unit, the 4th Division here, but it's not really in much of a position to do anything. It's quite heavily engaged here. Beyond that area, the front gets very, very weak indeed. Now, arguably, the Germans could snatch these victory point hexes here, but even if they did, there's absolutely no way they can hold them up until the point where the victory points are going to be counted, because the American Third Army is going to come in here from the south. Those hexes are they're undefensible. Now, we go a bit further north. The Germans have made quite a major penetration from this area. So there's a huge gap opened up in the American front here, but there's only really infantry in this gap at the moment. Though there is the Panzer momentarily checked at Clavel, could almost certainly will go down this road here, head off towards Bastogne. It's really a case of the American lines are shattered. It's just like water pouring through a dam in places. The Germans are just going to go along the line of least resistance. If we move up further north, beyond Clavel, this is where the major breakthrough's been. The American front has disintegrated. A couple of HQs have been jumped, and the 116th and 2nd Panzer have just poured through this gap. Now, the big problem, well, it's not a big problem, but it is a problem for the Germans here, is the fact that the 116th and the 2nd are effectively mixed, so that's going to cause a penalty. They've also 2nd's moved its trains, which is going to be another penalty, so it's not particularly brilliant. But there is a huge area here where there's very little in the way of American units. There's almost as many HQs and trains as there are combat units in this area. And also quite a few American units are effectively isolated. When you see these white cubes, there's units in an isolated state. The yellow cubes just indicate that the trains have moved. Green cubes, in case anyone's interested, are just there to say that a formation is done. If you see a blue cube, it means a formation is in a use state, so it still has a potential for a second activation. Now, the further north we go, beyond this big breakthrough area, we've got the Americans. We've got the 2nd Armour that, not the 2nd Armour, the 7th Armour that is coalesced around Saint-Vit. Now, that sort of unit is going to provide some backing to the front here, because the front's pretty shattered in this area as well, but the 2nd Armoured will definitely help. If we go way north, you can see that the SS Panzer units are coming towards the front. The 1st SS never really got very far. It was a long way away because it got a failed activation last turn, and it only got a single activation this turn. If we go North again, you can see Kampfgruppe Piper, and you can see the 12th SS, which are pushing against the American front there. Now the I think it's the 99th Division got jumped, and so did the 2nd Infantry Division. And the 2nd Infantry Division retreated up to the north, because the Americans are sort of laying the edge of the northern part of the breakthrough to start containing it. So you've got a couple of infantry divisions. You've got a new infantry division, the 9th I think it is, that just arrived, didn't do particularly well, only got one partial activation. You've got a German para unit that's tropped in behind that, which is going to effectively cut the main supply route for the 9th. But the 9th's just going to turn on that formation and gobble it up. It hasn't got any chance of surviving. So all in all, the Germans have made some reasonable breakthroughs here, but the Americans are still just about holding. The major problem area is around here and down here, whereas the situation in the north isn't as bad. In terms of what was happening this turn, these little snafu things are really good, because there's like game specific snafus for both sides, and it just reflects the degree of chaos inside the American defences, whereas the Germans have got a snafu +1 to represent their fact they're on an offensive status. Now, as to what happens from now on, what I do in this game, because I'm playing solo, what I will do, I do not look at the reinforcement schedules, and I don't look at the weather for the coming turn. So that leaves me with an element of surprise that could go either way against both sides. Now this turn the weather was quite good. We had visibility of 3 hexes, and it was fair weather, so some Allied fighter cover got up, but it didn't really do much. It was very difficult for the Americans, because they are really on the defensive here, and they're constantly sort of trying to shift to desperately fill in gaps and block roads and things like that. They're not really in an offensive capability. In fact, the only attack they really made was down here with the 4th Infantry. So it's all to play for, and the Germans, if the Americans can't block these penetrations, particularly in this area, it's going to get really nasty for them.